live radio, local podcasts, the Frederick Podcast Network at listenfrederick.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, it's time to experience the O's on the Original Sports Podcast.
Fellas, it's been a minute since I seen y'all. I mean, for real. Summer always kicks our asses, though, don't you think? Like, we're all over the place. Rasheen had a whirlwind summer. Sizzle had some summer. Chops just got back from a cruise like me. We didn't cruise to the same place, but we both cruised. Everybody doing good tonight?
Yeah, man. Good to be back. Good to be back.
You know how you get to Christmas time and they say it's the most wonderful time of the. Well, to me, this is the most wonderful time of the year. College football kicks off this weekend, and to celebrate that, we are going to kick it off with college football tonight. We're going to talk the Power 4 conferences, not Power 5, the Power 4 conferences. We're going to just kind of talk a little bit about each conference. Then we're going to get into Heisman hopefuls. I got 5 I have written down I wanted to talk, just mention. And if time permits, we'll get into T-Sizzle's Quizzle and Rasheem and Ray just wondering. Okay, Ray just wondering. All right. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let me kick this off for us.
Hold on a second, fellas. No disrespect to college, and that's all great, but NFL rules. They own a day of the week. NFL owns Sunday. They own Sunday, and
wait, time. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ on Sunday.
Well, without question, I get you that. I give you that. However, not everybody's. Everybody may not be Christian, but a whole lot they're going to be watching football come Sunday. Now, having said that, I think it's a bit disrespectful to our NFL football gods to start with college and not NFL. But seeing that we can't get into that, I want to ask you guys real quick, couple quick things we got going on. We're all from Pittsburgh. We all love our Steelers.
We do.
Seen a couple preseason games. Keeping it a buck. Who do you want, Russ or Fields, starting? Who do you got?
Fields.
You got Fields. Okay, and I'll ask the question to everyone after. Go ahead, Sizzle, Barber, give me your thoughts. Who you got?
I'd like to see Russell have another shot with the line. Does a little better job protecting.
Russ's numbers don't lie. He had 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year. He led the NFL in red zone touchdown passes. I don't need to put pressure on Fields. A 25-year-old kid played on in one of the worst organizations the last few years. They get rid of him, and all of a sudden they're loading that team up with all these people, pulling in all these people. I want to give Russ a chance, and then I know we can go ahead and go to Fields. Fields has a totally different dimension to that team, a wonderful dimension, totally different dimension. But let's see what Russ does. Let's let, as Chop says, let's let Russ cook a little bit with a line.
I'm feeling you on that, Barber. And we can't get into it. No sandwich, no salad. Still can't believe this man's from Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh and what. But let's not go there. However, as you talk about Fields adds a different dimension, that's what a lot of people are saying. He adds a different dimension. But here's the thing. I loved Mike Vick. I love Randall Cunningham. I love Lamar Jackson. Fellas, running quarterbacks that run first better than they pass don't win rings. Bottom line. Hey, call it what you want, but the fact of the matter is, if you have Fields in there because he can run, that means the offense is not giving Russ, the line is not giving Russ enough time to go through his progressions. That means, well, come on, man. Think about it. Russ got sacked 3 times. I know at least 2 of those. The D tackle was on him before you got to 3. They asked for 3.5, maybe 4 seconds to get rid of the ball on a pass play. They weren't getting that. And so my issue is, and I thought about this, but think about this, and we'll get into it more at some point in another show. I love Tomlin. I'm a Tomlin guy. I really am. But at some point, the head coach The team is the head coach, and the team takes on his identity. And I mean that because I'm saying we're seeing a different O coordinator. Go back to Duck, go back to Mason, Trubisky. It doesn't matter who pick it. And now Fields and now Russ. That offense can't score. Fellas, we've had patchwork O-lines. A lot of pieces have changed, come and gone, and went. The only thing that stayed consistent is Tomlin. Is he telling these guys, check down, check down? Is he refusing to allow the O coordinator to open the playbook at all? We haven't had a good O-line since Munchak left, but fellas, this is the exact same offense we've seen with other coordinators, with other quarterbacks, and other guys at the O-line. They can't block the sun out of their eyes.
Listen, I don't think it's the same offense. I don't even think they've displayed their hand. They go into that without a game plan in preseason. They want to see what the lower tier guys can do. Yes, they're trying to run the football a little bit. I blame that on the offensive line. Yes, they're trying to run some base patterns, trying to get some timing, especially for Russ. Yes, I get that. But they're not running something that is conducive to what they see in the defense they're playing against. I'm not as freaked out by that as I am freaked out by the fact that the offensive line can't block for shit. It doesn't matter what you're doing up front. You should be able to block the guy in front of you. In the number one pick, Roger Jones, he won twice with Rousseau.
And that's also a point I'm making. You're going to look at Okafor, who's now went to New England. If he goes to New England and shows out, because Doxson went to L.A., and now his game has dramatically
That's on the O-line coach, my man.
But here's the thing. And then it may be, but with the O-line, the O coordinator, all these guys are changing, different O-linemen, but it's still the same head coach. That's what's bugging me. And even though we're seeing, even against vanilla defenses, the guys can't score. That bothers me, fellas. It bothers me. It'd be different if they were scoring 40 points a game and in preseason, and we say it's against no defense.
I think they were what, 3-4-0 last year in preseason. Then they shit the bed. Huh?
They were 4-0 last year.
Exactly. Then they shit the bed. I don't hold a whole lot of stock in preseason. I know I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself. I want to see Russ just play with the first team and see what he can do because he's a Super Bowl champ. However, with Justin Fields, he was 11 of 17, 92 yards, and you said he's a run-first quarterback. He did. He did pretty well throwing. He did have 42 yards rushing against the Bills, but I think he just adds a whole new dynamic. I'm just going to be a little bit more patient with Russ, see what he has. In game 2, if he's shit in the bed, we definitely got to yank him and put some freshness back in, and let's see what Fields has to offer.
You know, here's the thing. But you know that touchdown pass chops that Fields didn't hit?
That's what I was going to.
He slowed down.
That was the receiver. That
was on him.
Hold on. Hold on. In the end zone, now I understand Fields overthrew him. I don't know that he slowed down and Fields overthrew him. But I also know there were a couple plays in there where Fields just didn't get the proper read. And that's not his fault because he didn't have proper tutelage in Chicago. But if you want this man, if he can't expect if his O-line is not giving him the time, he's not going to progress. He's never going to be able to get through his reads. He's not going to get to become a better quarterback. So we'll see. We'll revisit this.
All right. What's your next one, Chops? You said you had some spontaneous stuff for us.
Yes. Real quick. We have CD Lamb holding out in Dallas. We got Ayuk holding out in San Fran. We got Trent Williams holding out in San Fran. Of those three guys, to you, who makes the most? Who would you be most worried about not being there?
Trent.
What player needs to be there the most? What team needs what player the most? Should I say?
Trent Williams. My opinion.
Okay.
Hey, Pittsburgh's showing you if there's no continuity on the line, you can't do shit.
And Williams is a perennial All-Pro, right? Niners, they got other receivers. They'd love to have Ayuk, I think, maybe not, but they could do without him. And CeeDee Lamb, it's the Cowboys. Is he gonna? He definitely add a dimension to that offense. But again, to me, wide receivers are a dime a dozen. Trent Williams is a beast.
Yeah, fellas, the way the market is set, they would say, well, it's next guy's turn. So-and-so got paid, next guy gets paid more, next guy gets paid more. Right now, we've seen Trevor Lawrence and some other guys get paid top billing. I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence and Tua, top paid in the league. They're not the best in the league. Do you guys do you agree with how this works? Just next man up is going to get paid more? Or do you believe it should be the next guy up gets paid what you're worth? Now, I understand you get paid what you're worth, what someone will pay, but do you think you should be paid on merit and what you've done? Or, well, last guy got X amount of million, so we have to give you this amount of million.
In terms of quarterbacks, I said this last time that we actually had this kind of discussion. It's under discussion with the NFL owners to have a separate salary cap when it comes to quarterbacks. Okay, so Tua's overpaid. He has not done anything yet, fellas. Not a thing. Okay, Trevor Lawrence, he's overpaid. He has not done a thing yet. You got to prove it to me. I'm a prove it kind of guy.
You're missing a guy. What about Kirk Cousins? 4 years, $180 million.
Overpaid.
Daniel Jones, $40 million.
Oh,
The Giants are in trouble for an eternity just because they gave that dude all that money, and who's going to take him? Unless they take the huge cap hit 1 year and fall into the abyss, they're in trouble.
Man,
they're so bad nobody will buy my Steeler tickets against them.
Can't you get them jokers away?
It's like fourth preseason.
All right, fellas, your boy, I'm good. Those are just some things I want to talk about the NFL. So let's rock and roll. We're in the college. Let's rock and roll. Let's get it done.
Let's talk ACC to start with. The ACC is now Boston College, Cal, Clemson, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, NC State, UNC, Pitt, SMU, and Stanford, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, and Wake. First of all, think about how many teams I just read off to you guys.
I was wondering when you were going to stop. Yikes. How many is
it? Something like 18.
How many?
Something like 18.
Man, like I said, we was wondering if you was going to stop, but it is what it is. So, all right, where are we going with that? Where are we going with it?
Well, if you were going to put 4 teams in place based on what they did last year and what they have returning, who would you put in place at the top? Let's say the top 4 teams.
Florida State, Clemson. SMU might be the sleeper of that bunch. Virginia Tech.
Actually, Louisville is the sleeper of that bunch. They're returning a top-notch defense.
Okay, so you're asking of those teams you ran off, which 4 would we put in like right now as the top 4 that would be the 4 teams in the playoffs?
I'm saying who are the top 4 teams in the ACC?
Yeah, but fellas, I hate to be this way. To me, ACC is falling off. I mean, tremendously falling.
Well, just look at the teams they picked up along the way: Stanford and SMU,
and Cal.
And
Cal.
Okay,
Cal this year.
If we can go back to the Pony Express, bring SMU. Okay, if we can go back to where Elway is going to be, I don't even know how good they were, but when is the last time Stanford was nationally relevant?
Not Matt Leinart.
You know what I mean?
McCaffrey was there.
You're talking about your boy Colts guy who Andrew Luck. So, but fellas, I don't put a whole lot of, and I'm a Florida State guy. That's my squad. I've loved them since Peter Tom Willis. I've loved them from back in the day.
They're my team on Nintendo.
They're just not. ACC just isn't what it used to be, to me. You know what I mean? So, and you're right that Louisville was always sneaky good in the ACC. I just don't think nationally, a lot of people put interest into Louisville.
Part of that's because of the hype around them. There is no real hype. When you think of Louisville, most people still think of Louisville as a
Who school?
Basketball team.
Basketball team.
Yeah. Lamar
Without
came from
question.
Louisville. If you had to pick 4 teams, who are they?
From where?
ACC. Did we pick 4 yet?
I mean, I gave you my 4.
I'm going Miami, Louisville, Clemson, and FSU.
Yeah, I say Clemson, Florida State, Miami, and they're not there anymore.
I'm just going to tell you, SMU finished 11-3 last year.
Who?
It might not be much. They won the American Conference at 11-3.
Who?
SMU, Ponies.
Right.
The
I
fact,
would say Virginia Tech. My 4th was Virginia Tech.
the fact that the ACC took SMU, again, might have won 11-3. They're not a national powerhouse. You look at some of these other teams that big time teams, USD still carries weight out west, and they jump to the Big Ten. Oregon's they've been up there the last few years, and that they jump to the Big Ten. ACC takes SMU, fellas. I mean,
who was left? There was no one left to take.
But that's what I'm saying. ACC isn't what it was. You know what I mean? It really think about it. When we used to love the ACC, you had Bobby Bowden, you had your boy you just mentioned, from Virginia Tech, Beamer Ball. We still have Dabo, but even Clemson isn't the powerhouse they were 3-4 years ago in the national.
Clemson was 9-4 last year, but still, K Club Nick comes back from his shoulder injury. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see.
Let's jump to the next one, baby.
All right, let's get on with the next group of teams. Here we go, the SEC guys. Alabama, Auburn, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida, Kentucky, LSU, MSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Missouri, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Vandy.
What are we going to go? Georgia. Now, I don't have it in a specific order. Of course, Georgia. Okay, Georgia, Bama, LSU. And then the 4th is a pick 'em. But see, fellas, I'm going to say this, and I've been thinking this for about the last 10, 12 years, real quick. I hate preseason rankings in college. And I say that because every year we'll see a team that starts high and they'll lose a game or so, but they don't fall deep as far. Or a team that hasn't been ranked and they're trying to come up the ranks, but seeing that they started the season so low, they're not getting the love due. I don't think there should be any rankings until 4 to 5 games into the season, because then we get to see who's the best teams in the country. So, and again, we have our top 3, 4 in every conference who we know, and there's going to be a shock here or there, but for the most part, it is what it is. So for me, Georgia, Bama, LSU, in the 4th, pick them.
Ole Miss.
I'll probably go Florida.
I go Ole Miss.
Although Ole Miss, I will tell you, Ole Miss is rated really high this year. They're returning quite a bit.
They're preseason pick 6.
Yep, they're returning quite a bit. So it's going to be interesting for them to see how they actually play out, because Ole Miss has never won a conference championship, never, and they just don't seem to. They just don't seem to have enough to get over the top to get there. And it's Ole Miss we're talking about. I mean, you hear about Ole Miss forever, and isn't that where Manning went?
Yes.
Eli.
Yeah,
Young,
exactly.
Eli.
Yeah, exactly. So that. I mean, you would think when he was there, being that he was such a top draft pick, that he basically would have led them to some productive seasons, but no, no. I'm looking right here. I'm looking at the SEC on my cheat sheet, and
let's not keep out Mizzou. Mizzou's asleep.
I've heard that. Okay, I don't know a lot of these teams. Like, of course, we know Ohio State, Texas. They've got a lot of guys from the portal on their roster this year. In basketball, you can play a team a couple times. In baseball, you can play a team a couple times. Football, you're one and done. We realize that These guys need time to gel. And I understand, but seeing college is different. The best athletes a lot of times will win, whatever have you. But fellas, these guys are who's supposed to be ranked and who's ranked and what their talent looks like on paper. Number one, this is why we play the games. But with the transfer portal,
it's changed the dynamic.
With the transfer portal, man, I'm excited about this season because nobody's ranking means anything to me. Because again, we need to see what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So I like the fact that we do this and see where we and how we end up. But with this transfer portal, this is a whole new ballgame. Literally a whole new ballgame.
Here's something to think about. Caleb DeBoer is now the head coach at Alabama. Can he continue on with what Saban had there? Can he have the same type of recruiting? Can he pump out the same type of product that Saban did?
I think Saban quit because of the portal. Because now he was already paying people. I know he gonna think they were just coming to Alabama. They were already doing that. So now it's even, and now it's gonna show, hey Nick, we're all equal. You're not as great as a dynamic coach as you thought you were. Because now we're all giving out money and we all get great players. So
you're not who we thought you were. That's right.
Now is that let me ask you this.
In my opinion, that's my opinion.
And it's a good opinion. Do you think that Saban was already doing NIL before it was legal?
What? Yeah.
You want to call it NIL, call it what you want, but boosters were kicking in.
Yeah.
Fellas, don't get it twisted.
I'm sure it was kicked in everywhere, but it was more kicked in there at that time.
So now that it is legal, he has a problem with it.
It's kind of wait, guys. Now that I think about it, it's kind of hard to say that because if money was flowing, how come it wasn't flowing like that in Texas where they got all the money going? How come it, you know what I mean? Like
Texas
A&M. Texas, well, it might have been flowing there because they kept finishing higher in recruiting, but that's something to think about. Now that I think about it, it's like,
because it wasn't flowing because they weren't offering as much as, hey, we got this. We're winning every year. Come to Alabama, and we'll hook you up with a little something.
Now let's talk about Georgia for just a second. They have possibly QB1, maybe one of one in the draft at quarterback in Carson Beck. He was rated in the top 3 last year coming out of college in terms of quarterback efficiency, passing. He had almost 4,000 yards passing last year, Carson Beck. Is he going to be the difference maker for the Bulldogs again? Because, they lost a few guys. Didn't they lose Brock Bowers?
Bowers is gone. And McConkey's gone.
Yeah.
They did lose quite a bit. They lost like 15 guys in the last 2-3 drafts, something like that.
They also lost some playmakers in their secondary.
But I will say with Beck, the same thing I said about Bama quarterbacks before Jalen Hurts, and some people are saying now, call him Oklahoma guy, not a Bama guy. I was saying with Ohio State QBs, they do, and Georgia QBs, they do well in college because their talent is so much better than their competitors.
It surrounds them, yes.
Yes. But once they get to the league and there's more parity, those guys don't shine at the next level. So Beck, what's that, man?
Matt Stafford didn't shine.
And to me, the crazy part is Stafford is getting so much love, and he's always leading the league or up top of the league in INTs. However, so Beck doesn't have to do a lot, and he's going to throw for a lot of yards because his guys are better than everyone else. You know what I mean? So we'll see, man. But it is what it is. I don't know how NIL money is working for them, but I know for the last few years, nobody spent more in recruiting than the University of Georgia. Nobody spent more.
I got 2 guys for you to watch out for from Georgia in their defense. Michael Williams, Mykel Williams. He came on at the end of the season. He played well in the bowl game. Okay. He had a 93.5% grade from PFF in that bowl game. Also, watch out for this kid. He's going to be a first-round pick at safety, Malachi Starks. He had 90 tackles. He had 90 tackles at safety in college on Georgia. That says a lot right there, fellas. That says a lot.
Real quick, Barbara, I know. Do you know, did he play like a Palomalu where he was all over? Because Georgia's run defense they were nice. So running backs weren't getting to that level. So how was he made? That's what I'd like to know. How many tackles did he, you know what I'm saying? How did he get those 90? Was he all over the field like a Palomalu? Did he play like a Sean Taylor?
Listen, whether he played like a Palomalu, a Darwin James, Ed Reed, it doesn't matter. I mean, the guy had 90 tackles, and he's a preseason All-American going into this year. So he's a name to watch out for. He very well could be the next safety at Pittsburgh. He very well, depending on how things play themselves out and what happens there. Hey, going back to Ole Miss, you guys know Lane Kiffin is under fire there. If he doesn't win this year,
yeah, he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, he's definitely on the hot seat. I mean, in-house they've got Jackson Dart and Trey Harris, two of the highest graded offensive players in the country. They got a great QB wide receiver connection. There's no reason. And Lane Kiffin has always fathomed himself as a offensive guru to a certain extent.
There's no reason. Yeah, there's definitely a reason. Georgia and Alabama. Still got
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is
person then say, hey, we here.
I need to know. He's got to make the playoffs and get at least a win in the playoffs.
He has to.
Because expect him to win the SEC is asking for a lot. Because like I said, you got to beat LSU. You got to beat Georgia. You got to beat Bama. You might have to beat Texas. That's a lot for a team and a school that has never won an SEC championship. Yeah. So I need to know hot seat, okay, because of the talent, but what are they expecting with that? How far are they expecting? Got to make the playoffs. Have to make the playoffs. That's non-negotiable.
That's why he threw his name in the ring for that Alabama job. He was jumping all over like jelly beans.
Not making the playoffs. So,
hey, with Texas, they should probably be the fourth team in the SEC. To be honest with you, we kind of overlooked them. They're bringing back a kid who's been highly touted since he came out of high school. Went to Ohio State for 1 year because of NIL money before it blew up like it did. And Quinn Ewers. Ewers is a Heisman candidate. He really needs to take this team and lead it this year. I mean, it's his baby. They also got a couple of Bama transfers in Isaiah Bond and Amari Niblack. That's a lot of yardage that they can get out of that receiving game with those guys too. So Texas has got to make that. Sarkisian is smart. To me, he's one of the smarter guys in college football. So I look for Texas to be right there.
All right.
They should be. Injury is going to play a big role because somebody is going to have a key injury, and that NIL money has now been, I hate to say been wasted, but somebody is going to have a starter that got big NIL money to be impact player. He's going to get hurt. Going to have to. So
it's a hell of a gauntlet to have to try to get it in. It's like a haunted house. It's like
playing in the SEC.
Yeah,
because there's never really a day off. Even when you play a team like Vanderbilt, you're still playing a team.
Right.
All right, let's move into the Big 12, man. Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas Tech, Baylor, Oklahoma State, WVU, Kansas State, Iowa State. Texas is actually out of the Big 12 and in the SEC now, right? And TCU. That's your teams in the Big 12.
Fellas, it's a pick 'em. Literally, it's a pick 'em. I'm going to say West Virginia wins the Big 12, but after that, for me, it's a pick 'em. Who you got winning the Big 12?
West Virginia? Who they get?
I don't know. I don't know.
Actually, we forgot to slide Arizona into that, and Arizona is going to win the Big 12.
Oklahoma is over in the SEC now.
That's right. Oklahoma and Texas. SEC.
Yep, that's right. But I think Arizona is going to win the Big 12. I could see Kansas, who was a sleeper, a big-time sleeper last year. They're already rated. Young, would you say they're rated 6? No.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could see Kansas. And I know, Chops, you're saying, hey, we shouldn't put any pressure on these teams going into the season. But I will tell you that a team like Kansas, I mean, to me, a team like Kansas is probably the sleeper pick because they have so much returning from last year. And then you got to take a look at K-State, who always has a competitive team. Iowa State, who always has a competitive team. Utah, how do we forget about Utah? I mean, it's going to be a grind there.
But if you can call them a sleeper, as you said Kansas was, can't be much pressure on them because they're a sleeper. You know what I'm saying?
They're rated 6, though. That's still a
I know
pressure.
that's.
They're a sleeper who's rated 6.
Here's the thing. It was real talk off the rip. And we'll see, because that's a huge sleeper. Because I'm telling you real quick, right off the rip, I think I can name 6 to 10 teams I think they would smack Kansas. But if they got them, you're going to face in the Big 12, not nationally.
Okay.
Break it down for me.
Is Colorado one of them, Chops?
They could beat Kansas?
Yes.
Wow. I don't know, man. I don't know. But to me, that's a gimme. Normally, on any given year, I'd say Kansas, Colorado, a gimme. It pick them.
But listen, I like Texas Tech. They got a veteran quarterback coming back. They got one of the top running backs coming back, and they got a great tight end, a Mackey Award candidate coming. So I like Texas Tech. I'm gonna go with Texas Tech.
Got you.
Texas Tech. That's it.
That's interesting.
Write it
That's
down.
interesting. Yeah, I buy that. You got Cam Rising coming back with Utah, though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going with Texas Tech. We're gonna come back to this one. As it goes on, we can come back.
Sizzle.
What you want? I like Texas Tech.
Sizzle. Who you got? You got Colorado, huh? Prime.
No. I think this is the worst conference out there right now.
Yeah, it is funky. As I look at it, it's like
this is the Big 12.
This realignment crap is messing with my brain. I just
BYU.
It's worse than the PLL right now with the people on the West Coast and the Eastern divisions. I'm just so messed up.
I don't understand why people are giving Dion such a hard time, though.
You do or you don't?
Because you're the biggest fan? Why?
I don't. I'm not a huge. I can't stand on a podium here and speak my piece for him, but I will say he doesn't deserve to get a hard time either. I don't think he should get a hard time. He's another coach like everybody else. His only problem is he wears sunglasses and speaks the truth. He speaks from the heart, and I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. My tune has changed on him because he's approached this year differently than he approached last year, where he just cut guys and made a fuss. This year he's taken a different turn at what he's doing in Colorado.
Well, yeah, because they're his team now. He got the
and I still said that he cut a lot of flack the way he cut guys, but I would love to know, of those guys he cut, how many of them transferred out and got any playing time at other Division I Power 5 schools.
Well, the big one was a cornerback. He said he left because he didn't like the atmosphere or something was going on, but then he ended up getting in trouble wherever he went again. So
yes, exactly. And that was also a thing that I thought Dion cut a lot of flack for, saying he cut guys. Okay, you cut guys on teams that was 1-11, but he always tried to make his players better men as well. Go to class. We don't do this. We don't talk to women that way. We don't treat this way. We don't get. Do you imagine how Sanders would get killed if his players off the field had the same problems as Kirby Smart and the University of Georgia? I don't know if you guys are hearing it, but there have already been 4 DUIs for Kirby Smart's players this offseason, should I say. If that happened to Deion Sanders,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I agree.
Wasn't it the dude from Georgia who wrecked someone, went to Philly?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
not this past year, the year before. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Come on, Chops. You know who we're talking about.
Defensive line. Talking about. We know he played D-line, the big dude. Yeah, but I forget it.
He had a great year there.
Oh, yes. Brown, no. You're killing me, but I know you're talking about. Yeah.
So you gotta look at every aspect of what goes on, and if maybe a guy.
Jalen Carter.
There you go.
Carter, that was it. Phyllis, let me if we've been getting in all these conferences, who's our top 4? What conference, not team, what conference do you guys look forward to watching the most, or do you pay attention to the most?
Yes,
SEC?
It's fast. It's fast. All they do in
me, I got it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, in the Big 12, they chuck the ball. In the Big 10, it's all about meat grinding and playing defense.
But see, that right there, that takes me back to what I always loved.
And I appreciate that.
Because I was watching Pitt, Notre Dame, and it was on YouTube, I forget, but Ironhead was there. I mean, they ran Ironhead. They ran Ironhead like every play.
And that was my thing. When I lived home in the Berg, I was a Big Ten guy. I loved the Big Ten in football. I love the Big East in hoops. However, I love the Big Ten. It was smash mouth, in your face, whatever. Once I came down here, it took a few years, but I do like that SEC. Now with this realignment, I'm liking both SEC and the Big Ten. I'm interested in both those, but it is, like you said, Mark, it's that speed with that SEC, fellas. I do like the SEC. I can't lie.
That's why they put so many guys in the pros. The pros is a fast game today.
Quick question. Why the hell doesn't the Pac-12 just fold? They got 2 teams. What is that about?
Did. No, they did. That's it. They're done. That's why it's called the Big.
So Oregon and Washington State, or where'd they go?
Washington State didn't go anywhere yet, but it was in the Big Ten.
I didn't know. I didn't know that. We gotta do our homework on that one, man.
Yeah.
I thought they brought like State and all them bums over.
Washington State, the teams that are left in the Pac-12 have merged with the South. What's it called? South Mountain Conference. That's where they're at. That's where those teams are now. But Washington State's only one of them, and Oregon State.
Yeah,
that's all that's really left.
I have something contradicting to that says that Oregon State and Washington State are the only 2 still there. They didn't join a conference yet.
They are there, but in terms of conference play, they're going to play in that Mountain West with like Boise State and those teams.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll play 8 games against the MWC. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's talk about the Big Ten now. Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, Oregon, PSU, Purdue, Rytgers, UCLA, USC, Washington, and Wisconsin.
Sheesh. Good job, man. That was a lot. I like Ohio State, of course. Michigan. It's usually those 2 at the top, like always, like Georgia and Bama. Penn State, man, if their quarterback can throw down the field, that would be good. But if not, they're going to funk it up. And then I'm gonna go ahead and slap Rutgers in here, because Rutgers doesn't have because they don't play any of those big ones. I don't think they got a weird schedule. They play like a lot of the new schools, but not the big ones like Ohio State.
Is that El Golden at Rutgers? Am I right? El Golden's at Rutgers.
No, I thought it was what's his name still.
Shazano.
Oh shit, yeah. What's his name? Yep.
You coach at Tampa Bay.
He's a Paisan.
Yeah.
Shiano.
Greg Shiano.
Yeah.
Yes. Here's their schedule.
Ohio State, Michigan. It might be the Pennsylvania guy in me, but I'd love to say Penn State in there. But here's the thing. I think Oregon is a nice squad. I really do. But why I'm hesitant to put Oregon in as the final or USC, even though they have time. Not even USC, because they're not loaded this year. But why it's hard for me to put Oregon at the end of the season top 4. Yes, they've got speed, wide open offense, but they're going to get punched in the mouth every week in the Big Ten.
That cold weather.
Well, they're used to that in Oregon, though.
But plus the travel that's going to go into it for USC.
Yeah,
and
so
UCLA.
I'm interested to see how they work and how they're looking come last 3 to 4 games of the season. Are they – because they're getting beat up. I see with the big league too. And fellas, I'm going back to the year Nebraska played Miami in the Orange Bowl when it was still the Big 8. What was that running back's name? I can't remember the running back's name for Notre Dame. excuse me, for Nebraska.
Rozier?
No, not the quarterback, Tom Rozier. It was a running back who literally late third quarter and fourth quarter, Nebraska just beat up Miami, just beat them up. I get Schlesinger. He ended up going to Detroit. Was that it, Schlesinger? I can't say, but that's where I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Or what I'm thinking is going to happen to Oregon. They're going to start you out fresh. They're running and gunning. It's going to be a track meet. But you're going to keep getting helmets in your face, the helmets in your chest, week after week after week. And I'm interested to see how that plays out. So we'll see. We will see.
That's all about money right there.
Whoo!
Hey,
it's all about money.
The Washington team, they're going to travel a total of almost 7,600 miles this year, not going to Hawaii, like a non-Hawaii team, because Hawaii, you know, when they travel, that's putting some miles on the tires. But Washington, they're going to have to go to Iowa, Oregon, Penn State, and Rutgers, total of 7,600 miles. That's going to take a toll on those guys.
I'm not going to go with Michigan in this group. I'm going to go with Ohio State. I'm going to go with Penn State. That's like a number 3 out of this. I am. They've got some talent on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to go with Wisconsin, fellas. Wisconsin is always a good team. Always. Rasheen, you said you like the meat grinder. You said you like the defensive guys. You like the defensive stop. That's always Wisconsin. Okay? I can't see Washington having a successful season because of the travel and because of losing Dubois. Okay? That's going to play an impact on them. I think you see somebody like an Illinois or somebody like that step to the forefront and be that team this year. I just think Michigan's going to have a drop-off from Harbaugh compared to what they're brought in. That's my take. And the quarterback position is going to hurt. And the running back position, you lost Corum, who had been the guy for 2 years. I mean, it's going to be a different Michigan team from that perspective.
Are they playing the muscle-bound guy at quarterback? What's his name? Oh, my gosh. He's super athletic. He's super big. Oh.
But he can't throw the ball.
Okay.
He can't throw the ball.
But you know Michigan's going to have a running. Fellas, who was the last quarterback at Michigan that you would have considered a passing threat? Greasy?
Bob Brady.
No, Brady was 6th round.
Bob Greasy.
I was surprised McCarthy. I was surprised McCarthy went 1st round.
He's having he was having a good preseason.
Chops, that's a really good point you bring up. Think about the Big Ten. The Big Ten alone. Ohio State never produces quarterbacks.
Breeze was it.
You know, Michigan never really produces quarterbacks. Penn State doesn't produce quarterbacks.
Gary Collins.
Maryland doesn't produce quarterbacks.
Yes, they do. You got Frank Reich. You got
Neil O'Donnell.
Neil O'Donnell. You have Boomer Esiason. You have Kelly, Chris Kelly.
Who?
He didn't play quarterback for them. He played DB. And those guys are from like 35 years ago. You know, but I mean, you look at the Big Ten.
You can name more from Maryland than you could probably say Florida State.
Yeah, true. Those two gave us the look. We got the look.
Wanky.
Ward.
Not much Charlie Ward, though, but he could have been.
I said Ohio State, not Florida State.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Ohio State. Yeah.
You know, my go-to with Ohio State.
Art Schleister, baby. Art Schleister. I'll bet you $1 it was Art Schleister.
We can't do that.
Hey, who's going to be a surprise team out of all of NCAA football? Who's going to be like sneak in there?
I think I named mine.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech, Texas Tech, and Rutgers.
And what about SMU joining the ACC?
They was 11-3 last year.
They're going to pray.
I'm going to go with Kansas. That's going to be my surprise team. Even though they're not – it's so wishy-washy with Kansas, but and Chops is right about that. They're not really a surprise team because they're ranked 6th, but they're still a surprise team. They made
6 in the Big 12, 22 in the country.
6,
Yeah.
are they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
How about this? Let's take a look at coaching surprises. Who's going to be the first guy on the hot seat?
Day. If he don't beat Michigan to get it done, Day.
Yeah, that's a
You
good
mean
one.
Ohio State?
Yeah, yeah. And if he doesn't beat Michigan, Day, then him. Because fellas, here's the thing. Kirby, even if he hypothetically lost 3 games this year, he's earned it. He ain't going nowhere. Dubbo, or however you pronounce his name, it's his first year at Alabama. They'll still be decent. You know what I mean? But your boy in Michigan, it's his first year. Day.
I think the guy from Maryland should be on the hot seat.
How about the guy from Florida, Billy Napier?
What about my boy Jimmy Franklin?
Oh,
Bro.
He will never be on the hot seat because he makes way too much money.
Oh.
He signed a 10-year deal 2 years ago.
Here's the thing. You talk about Franklin. Can you see him getting past Ohio State and Michigan?
nope.
I can't see him beating one of them.
I know. So that's my thing. If you're resolute to the fact that he's gonna, we'll be happy. They'll be happy in Happy Valley if he could split that. Let alone you ain't go. So don't even think 2-0. So as long as he doesn't shit the bed elsewhere, he should be okay. But
hindsight's 20/20. But if you were Penn State, don't you think you would have probably tried to keep Bill O'Brien around?
Keep who?
Bill O'Brien. Instead of letting him go to Texas, he went down to Houston. He's the guy who came in after Paterno.
I was going to say he was Franklin's predecessor, right?
I mean, he weathered the storm with no scholarships, getting recruits to come back. He set the table for Franklin. Franklin has not been able to clean up the dinner. That's the bottom line.
True, but it was so close after the Sandusky and all that, whatever have you, Paterno gone. I don't know how long he is in O'Brien even wanted to be there. And I say wanted to be there, of course, because if he could have won, it could have been with no scholarships, everything that happened. I don't know, man. I couldn't foresee that being a long marriage strictly because of how and why he came in. You know, just like after SMU, after the death penalty. It was going to take a while for them to get back to, national prominence. And I can't say that they've ever gotten back to national prominence. So I don't know, Mark. I don't know. But
should Penn State have gotten the death penalty?
Oh.
No, but we're getting off. No, I don't think we should get
but that's the great part about sports. It can take you anywhere. You're
Hey.
The playoffs. The playoffs is the big thing this year with NCAA college football. We've talked about the top teams in each division. Okay. The number one team will get an automatic bye. But you could be a number one team, and when they rank you for the playoffs, that doesn't mean you're in the top 3 or 4. That means that you got in, but you could be playing in the first round. And all the first round games are at the home field of the team with the best record.
Yes. Now,
it's pretty crazy.
I know, but I'm interested to see what will be the tiebreaker if one of these teams has a better record or 2 ties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, would you say, let's say for sake of argument, a SEC team is going against an SEC team is playing an ACC team, and they're both 10-1, hypothetically. SEC 10-1 has to carry more weight than an ACC 10-1.
I think there's a power ranking type of thing.
Yeah, but I'd like to know, what is that going to be? And I'd like to hope they've already got things like this ironed out, because hell, we haven't even gotten into the playoffs, and starting with the 12, they're already looking to expand it to 14. You know what I mean?
In terms of that, Choppers, what I would do, and they may have this might be the piece that they have in place. I would look at all their opponents that they beat and all their opponents' records and who they beat. You know
then
what I'm
on
saying?
that aspect, okay. So on that aspect, do you go strength? Do you go opponent strength of schedule when you say compared to they beat? You're going strength of schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
with that.
And this format is only good for 2 years under the contract I was reading.
Yeah,
So
because they want to
they're-
expand again to 15
they'll
or
expand
14
it again.
or 16. They may
Yeah.
go in even
That's
four
gonna be
numbers
too much.
because it's a power four. It's a power four. As it is, the championship game is January 20th or 21st. It's on election. It's on Inauguration Day and Martin Luther King Day. So that So
I'm
whatever
not
that
changed
date,
yet. I'm celebrating.
whatever that date is, that's when the championship game is coming up. It's a real interesting formula. I read like a 5-page article about it today, and it's going to be really fun to watch how that plays out. I'm looking at Heisman hopefuls, you guys. I got Jalen Milroe, the quarterback at Alabama. We're going to see what DeBoer is about, if he can develop his kid. Travis Hunter, I think he needs to be in the discussion. He's a two-way player. He really is a guy that Deion can hang his hat on. Didn't he come from Jackson State with Deion too?
Yeah.
So, this is his kid. Jalen Daniels, the kid from Arizona, that quarterback. His name is Jalen Daniel, Jalon, I believe.
Okay.
And I'm pretty
not
sure.
Jaden, Jalen. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers has been coming out of high school. He's had that top billing as a quarterback. He needs to do it now under Sarkisian at Texas. And my last guy is obviously the top guy, Carson Beck.
Okay. What about Luther Burden? Oh, that name don't ring a bell, I guess. Okay. All right.
Who did you say?
Bell. There's the bell. Luther Durden. Mizzou.
Oh, the running back. Yeah, sure. That rings a bell.
Luther's a receiver.
I thought
Come and ring my bell. Oh,
okay. They also have, Missouri also has a running back there that is being touted as a Heisman hopeful.
Do you think the Heisman truly goes to the best player in college football? And I ask that because we've seen guys lose it, like Caleb Williams when he lost his chance to repeat because his team lost. Football is the ultimate team sport. They don't play defense. A quarterback, you know what I'm saying? So how do you guys feel about that? And let's not forget, like Jason White, Oklahoma, he won the Heisman, couldn't even get drafted. What do you guys think about that?
Danny Warfel. It's quite interesting.
Best player,
it's a campaign, and they campaign for these guys to win the Heisman Trophy. They put out a bunch of media videos they put out a bunch of videos to the media. They promote this guy. They promote for his vote because it brings all that prestige to the school, not only that individual player. You are definitely right that it's about the players that play around that guy. I agree with you. But, if Caleb Williams truly was supposed to be everything that they said he was, he would have won it that second year. He just, that's why I personally think that he will have his struggles once we get to regular season in the NFL. Yeah, he's making some nice throws. Huh?
I said, we're about to take this somewhere else.
Absolutely. That's the great thing about sports.
6 minutes.
We're talking about the Heisman and how the bottom line is we're talking about the Heisman, and Chops had it right on, right on point with, is it about the player or is it about the team that they play on? And I think it's a collaboration of both, but I think it's about the university pumping out cash to the media and the voters to get their guy elected.
So if that is true, because I never thought about it that way. So if that is true, does that sort of make you look at what the hell are we doing here? And I say that because we all come 10 weeks into the season, come December, we'll know who we think our Heisman hopeful should be. Right. And it had not a damn thing to do with any of these media and the press junkets and the money that's being pushed. But if that's what helps some of these players, not saying all, but if that's what helps some of these players win the Heisman, that to me means it's not going on who was the best on the field. How many of these voters even get to watch them? And if you're not watching them, why the hell do you get a vote?
I got one current name that says it all, Bryce Young. Bryce Young. He never should have been the Heisman Trophy winner. Never. But he had a team around him in Alabama that was just superior. And they marketed him because he was the quarterback. He stirred the pot. At the end of the day, he won it. You know, how many other guys, you know, C.J. Stroud was fantastic at Ohio State. He should have been the number 1 overall draft pick. He probably should have won the Heisman. Even, hey, I'll go so far as to say this. Kenny Pickett, that same year, had a great year. Wasn't he that same year? Am I right?
Is Bryce Young? Yeah.
Yeah, he had a great year. He just didn't have the pieces of the puzzle around him.
Yeah, he was 30 though, but yes.
Yeah. Little hands.
Little hands. He still has little hands. He has Tyrannosaurus Rex. Shane, how you doing on time?
We got 4 minutes, Dougie Fresh, and you're off.
All right. So let's go with T-Sizzle's Quizzle. Nice show, fellas.
You told me we're talking about the Power Four. I thought we were talking about the Cassidy OSP, the Barber, the Rasheen and Chops and T-Sizzle. But we broke down these conferences. Which conference has the all-time winning record in bowl games?
Big Ten. I should have said Pac-12. I'm going to go Big Ten.
ACC.
I'm going to go Big Ten.
The SEC has the most wins.
Okay.
Yeah, SEC. And based on our rankings, that's the conference we're really most excited to see this year. Is that right?
SEC.
Yeah.
Okay. That's 100% true.
All right.
Now, I would like to know, since you were able to find that stat, what conference has the most teams in the most bowls? Because if the SEC, let's hypothetically say over this since bowl game, let's just say SEC's had 100 teams since bowls began. They've had 100 teams in bowl games, and they're 51 and 49 hypothetically. But let's say the Big Ten has only had 90 teams in the bowls, but they have 48 wins. Then you know what I'm saying? I would like to know that as well too.
More chances. Hey, listen. Yeah. I've been wondering, guys. Is it the darkest era of Pittsburgh sports?
Woo! Yeah. And you know what though? But
why you say that, Mark?
Because the Steelers in the 80s, the Penguins in the 80s.
I'm talking this era right here, like what's going on now, currently, like the last 5-10 years. That, you know, the last championship we had was the Penguins, right?
Yeah, but you said is it the darkest?
16 and 17.
No, because it's not the darkest. You could say it's dark, but it's not the darkest.
Well, shoot, when Steelers were winning, everybody was winning, right? Or no, Steelers and Pirates were winning. Then I think it was Steelers and Penguins. Now it's just no one.
That's the thing.
They struggle to make the playoffs.
But we're City of Champions. Playoff City of Champions. That City of Champions. Playoffs just ain't cutting it anymore.
It's not. We got 1 minute. It's not.
No. Hey, tell them where they can find you, Sheen.
Everywhere.
No sandwich, no salad.
Everywhere.
Okay.
That man ought to be ashamed of himself.
Go ahead, Chops.
On the gram, find me at Big Chop 79. On the X, you can find me at The Real Big Chops. You know, on Facebook, you can find me my government, Michael Gregory Mills. Holla at your boy.
This is?
I'm on the gram. And
you told us our time is short. Let's get through.
Time is short. Let's get through.
Hey, where you at, Barber?
Hey, here you go.
Where do you find
Connect with us here on the Original Sports Podcast by checking out our webpage, podpage.com, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maradei. You can find us on Facebook. You can join our conversation on Twitter. You can reach out to us on Snapchat. All of those are OSP with A&amp. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Original Sports Podcast. Shout out to our networks, Let's Talk Sports, Sideline Sports, Elite Sports and Entertainment, Peak One Network, and Manning Media.
Yes.
Our show now is on Tuesday nights on Roku from 7 to 8 o'clock. So hopefully you watched us live tonight.
Yes.
Feel free to let us know if you have any comments, questions, concerns.
Yes.
You just want to chime in, whatever you want to do. Give us a shout out at originalsportspodcast@gmail.com. And I want to give a shout out to Steve Medley for doing our voice intro, Charlie Hodgson for writing our music, and join us on Saturday for a special episode live at Il Forno in Frederick at 4 p.m. We'll see you.
This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.